Another example of how paranoid Russia has been for decades is its system that it created called the dead hand. Okay, it's the literal name of it is perimeter. It was this perimeter system, dead hand, was originally reported by a Washington Post reporter named David Hoffman, like in 1999, when he first learned about it, right after the wall had gone down, before we were back to this nuclear threat posturing. But the way the dead hand works is like this. Russia was so paranoid that the United States was going to launch a preemptive nuclear attack against it during the Cold War that it created a dead hand system. What is that? It's kind of like it sounds. They created a system whereby ground sensors would be able to determine nuclear bombs hitting the Russian soil. And if they weren't hearing from the nuclear command and control, so the idea being that the nuclear command and control had been taken out in this preemptive nuclear strike, the dead hand system would launch all of Russia's remaining nuclear weapons, which were like 30,000 at the time, okay? Would launch all of them without even needing a hand to push the button, hence the name the dead hand. So it set up a system to launch no matter what, even if we're all dead. And the idea behind it is kind of part of deterrence. Like, don't you dare launch at us, or even our own dead hand will get you. And so when you think about that, you realize there's a long history of suspicion in Russia. And even more terrifying is I have heard in defense circles, and I haven't been able to confirm it, but I have heard that even now the U.S. Defense Department is thinking of creating some kind of a dead hand equivalent because allegedly Russia never got rid of that system. That's where AI would become a real problem.
Yeah, that's a great point. That is a great point.
The dead AI hand.
Wow, that's a great point.
Revelation chapter 18, verse 10. Standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, at last, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. I want to give our praises and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakah, Kodash, forgive me the spirit, to do this quick lesson. So in the spirit, man, the spirit brought this to my attention, okay, going into the dead hand of Russia, okay, and like you watched in the videos before, the dead hand was created back during the Cold War time, okay, out of the fear that America would drop a nuke on Russia, okay, because you got to think about it. They dropped the atomic bomb, 2 of them, on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Okay, you think Russia didn't know that? Okay, so it put them on notice. So through that, they created the dead hand. All right, so in other words, like she explained, so no matter what, if America is able to really annihilate Russia, okay, like they plan to do, in that scenario, that dead hand is going to set off all their nuclear arsenal that they got, okay, which already has targets on it. Okay, they already have targets, so that dead hand gonna rise from the grave and just hit the buttons and just shoot nukes everywhere, man. Okay, predominantly America. You got to think about it. If they had 30,000 nukes then, how many nukes they got now? That's number one. Number two, look at how many states are in America. 50. So if they got way more than 30,000 nukes, okay, and there's only 50 states, and the dead hand goes off, okay, in that scenario, say it happens like that, and the dead hand goes off, okay, because that means that America has shot nukes on them. You think they're going to shoot one nuke? No, especially if they're wiped out, okay, because they're talking about if their nuclear area is wiped out, okay, the person who's responsible for the nukes, to shoot the nukes, when it goes off, when it doesn't go off. All right, so you can imagine that, man. America would be totally wiped out. So this 1 hour makes sense when you think about it like that, that lines up with prophecy because Russia is going to be one of the main parties, the top parties, all right, with the other nations, with China, Iran, North Korea, et cetera, et cetera. But Russia is the top of them. Okay, so it's going to be Russia that's going to be the main party to really take America off the earth. Okay, so the dead hand makes sense. Let's go back to Revelation chapter 18. Let's start at verse 8. Matter of fact, I'm going to start at verse 5. Okay, it says, you know what? 4. Let's start at verse 4. It says, I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that you be not partakers of her sins, and that you receive not of her plagues. You hear that? For her sins have reached unto heaven, and Yahweh have remembered her iniquities. Okay, and America has a lot of iniquities, man. They keep going up and going up and going up. They have reached unto heaven, meaning the list is long, man. It is wicked. Okay, the most wickedest kingdom ever, man, in history, the worst. And when you go back up to verse 4, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that you be not partakers of her sins, and that you receive not of her plagues. Okay, you're not going to just leave America. Okay, there's 2 ways in the scriptures it talks about, okay, coming out of her. Okay, number 1 is spiritually, your mind, okay, focus on the Lord, repentance, and not hoping in this place that is going down. Okay, that was said to go down through prophecy. Okay, so when the prophets tell you that America is done, Babylon is done, you're supposed to get your mind and listen to the prophets and take your mind, take your hope. Okay, take that furtherance of America continuing in your life in 20 years here in America and trying to build like everybody else. You're supposed to get that out of your head. Okay, that's number 1. Then we're physically going to get out of here when Yahweh shall come down with the holy angels via the chariots. Okay, go to verse 6. Reward her even as she has rewarded you, and double unto her double according to her works. And the cup which she has filled, fill to her double. Okay, double judgment. How much she have glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her, for she saith in her heart, I sit a queen, and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Just proud, man. How the hell you think you ain't gonna see no sorrow or nothing? Okay, but then you took the earth by murder and slaughter and rape. Okay, being the devil. Of course you're gonna see sorrow at some point, and it's gonna be extra, extra sorrow. All right, verse 8. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burnt with fire, for strong is the Lord Yahweh who judge her. Right, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai who judges her, and the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off for the fear of her torment. That torment is going to be high level. Okay, it's going to be multiple nukes that's going to hit the mark, and that mark is Babylon, aka America. Okay, so the dead hand makes sense, man. See, the spirit got them talking about it because we in that time. The spirit got them talking about nukes, and Trump positioned these nukes here, and Russia talk about nukes there, and all this nuclear threats going on right now. Why you think that's happening? Because the Lord controls them. All right, you read that in Proverbs chapter 21, verse 1. All right, the spirit, okay, of the king is in the hand of the Lord, man. Period. The Lord controls it and moves it when he wants to move it. So he's the one that put it in their sleep, in their mind, while they were asleep, to wake up and talk about these things so that we can look at it and say, oh shit, let me examine deeper. Okay, let me get more prepared, man, because the kingdom is nigh. That's how you're supposed to look at it. Verse 10, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, at last, that great city Babylon, America, that mighty city, proud to be American, okay, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. Okay, so years ago, when I used to go into this, I used to be thinking in my mind, like, man, 1 hour? That's pretty extreme. Hey, but if you got the dead hand, that's going to release thousands of nukes, okay, and Babylon only got 50 cities, what you think going to happen? Okay, then you got the chariots shooting fire on Babylon out of the chariots, man. Okay, so it's going to be a lake. Okay, let's go to Revelation chapter 20, verse 14 and 15. It says, and death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. Okay, because the first death was by the flood. Okay, and the rainbow, he created the rainbow as a promise that he wouldn't do that no more, but he never said he wasn't going to destroy it by fire. Think about that, a lake. Okay, a lake of fire, man. You talking about incredible judgment there. Okay, so many nukes are coming here in the near future for sure. Okay, World War III, verse 15. And whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire. Right, a lake. Okay, meaning you're going to be engulfed by that fire. It's going to engulf you. It's going to swallow you up. Just like the water swallowed them up in Noah's time, and Noah escaped in his family. Okay, this fire is going to swallow the people up in this time. Okay, and the hopeful elect is going to escape. All right, so just a quick lesson, a quick update, man. The dead hand, man. Boy. So with that, I hope you're edified. I want to give our praises and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakah, Kudash, forgive me the spirit, to do this lesson. Double honor to the elders of Great Millstone, and shalom to you, Arkham out there that's doing the truth in sincerity. Shalom.
For your time, recent actions by the United States and Russia, including the reposition of U.S. nuclear submarines, indicates escalating tensions in marine power dynamics. If an ocean war was to erupt, who would have the edge between Russia and the United States?
If a war at sea erupts, there'll be no winners. There'll only be losers. While the U.S. has an edge in terms of, as you said, naval bases around the world, and the number of ships, and the tonnage of ships, Russia has other advantages. Russia has a great advantage in the number of corvettes. Russia has been developing new technologies. The Zircon hypersonic missiles are very, very potent. Russia is also working on underwater nuclear drones. So there's not going to be any winner. If a war does break out and it turns to a nuclear war, as is very, very likely, then the future existence of life on this planet will be threatened.
There are no other alternatives if you're going to be trying to bully Russia. What are you bullying Russia with? Your conventional military power? It's non-existent. Your ability to sustain Ukraine as a viable proxy to wear down Russia? Not happening. Your ability to economically strangle Russia? Not happening. So if you've built a policy formulation that is dependent upon Russia bending the knee, the only thing left is to intimidate Russia using the threat of nuclear war. And I believe that is what this president is doing. And I believe the Russians are fully cognizant of this. And Dmitry Medvedev's response on X, the citation of the dead hand, is proof positive. He's not going to make that mention out of the blue. Words matter. And so for the former president who is cognizant of what the dead hand is, to mention it means that he's basically been cleared to put the president of the United States on notice that don't even think about it. We will knock the living daylights out of you. You may kill us, but we'll kill you too. And all that will be left is a Walking Dead type scenario.